If I were to start with any machine learning project, what would be the first thing I would do? It would be loading the dataset into my notebook, right? And it can be done with one simple command, pd.read_csv, right? But if I were to work with a more complex dataset, say a dataset of images or videos, how am I supposed to load the data now? Well, that is something we will be figuring out in this video. But before I go ahead, let me tell you about the data science course link available in the description, where deep learning has been covered comprehensively by our industry experts. Moving ahead, what's a dataset? Let's understand this with the help of an analogy. All of you must have worked with Excel sheets, right? Now think of all the data present in the file as the data points and the file as a whole as your dataset. Simple enough? But in PyTorch, a dataset is majorly of two types: map style dataset and iterable style dataset. Map style dataset is like a dictionary where you can get any sample by its index. Iterable style dataset, on the other hand, is like a stream of data that you can iterate through one by one. Let's get into detail about map style dataset. What's cool about this is that it implements some special dunder methods. Now, what are dunder methods? Those are basically methods that start and end with double underscores. The two key dunder methods here are getItem and length. So what do these methods do? Well, getItem is used to fetch the features at a specific index you pass in, and length simply tells you the total number of samples in your dataset. Let us see this in our Jupyter notebook. So the first step would be to import all the libraries. We'll begin by importing libraries like Torch. We'll also import our dataset, which is done by using torch.utils.data. Okay, we'll directly do it from, and then we'll import dataset. Make sure the D is capital for dataset. Then we'll go ahead and import libraries like NumPy as NP. We'll also import library OS, which is basically a library that helps interacting with the operating system. Then we'll go ahead and import other libraries like random matplotlib. It is a very important library used for visualization. And then this is a different library import. So PIL basically stands for Python Image Library. So what PIL does is it basically processes digital images using an algorithm. So since our dataset consists of images, we will be using PIL library. So that is it. Let's run it. It's taking a while. Okay, there. So the first thing we'll be doing is we'll check how a custom dataset class can be created. So we'll go ahead and create a class called custom dataset, and what we have to do is we have to pass the dataset that we imported using torch.utils.data in the class as a parameter, and then we'll go ahead and create a constructor and we'll pass parameters, and we'll also pass the path of our dataset, right? So let's go ahead and initialize the variables. Can be done using self dot and the variable name. Now what I'm going to do next is I am going to create a variable images, and I will be using the OS library, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to access all the images in the directory that I'm going to pass later on to this class. So I'm going to store all my images in a list, and that list will be stored in my variable images, right? So later on I do not have to worry about accessing my images. It can be done using images, right? Now we can go ahead and create our dunder methods, which is length. We'll pass self, and all we have to do is return length of our list of images, which is just images. We've already stored it in images, right? The next dunder method would be getItem. Now this dunder method is going to return one image, whichever image occurs at the index passed. So we have to pass an index as well. So we can do that by using, first let's specify the image path, right? Now what we have in this images is a list of all our images. Now if we want an image at a specific index, what we have to do is, again we'll be using the OS library, and we'll use os.path. join. So what this function is doing is basically it's going to join the two paths that we have. One is the directory and the other one is the index, right? So it's going to create one proper path to access our image that is located at index passed over here. So we can do that by passing self.dir, which is nothing but the directory, and self.images and index. Easy. And then our image is just going to be image.open and we'll pass the image path. So what we're doing here is we created another variable image and we've used the PIL library and we've accessed image, and this is a method provided by the library, and all we've done is we've passed the complete path of our image, which is nothing but the directory of our dataset and the index at which our image is located, right? So now all we have to do is return image. Let's run it. Indentation error, right? So this is how we returned our image. So now what I had done was I had gone to Kaggle. You can just go ahead and go to Kaggle and download any dataset of your choice. I had downloaded Peanut dataset, which is over here in my downloads. This was my dataset here, and all I did was I copied the path like this. Sorry, I'll just go ahead and this is the dataset. This is what I'm going to use. So I just copied the path and I'm going to assign it to, say, variable data path, and right. Okay, so now Python doesn't accept backslash as in path, so we have to change that to /. Just gonna take a second. Right, so this is our path of the dataset that I downloaded from Kaggle. Now what I'm going to do is I'll create an object of our class custom dataset, and I will pass the data path, which is just the path of our dataset, and we have an object created called dataset. Now let's go ahead and try to print the length of our dataset, right? So let's create a variable called data length, and let's access length using, let's see what it prints. There. Another way we could access the length of our dataset would be dataset.length, right? Okay. Or sorry, since it's a dunder method, we would go for length and then dataset. So this is how it could be done. The next thing we're gonna try is, let's try printing this image, accessing the image, sorry. So we can do that by using dataset.getItem, and we have to pass an index, say 0. There. This is our image at index 0. Let's go ahead and try to print a different image. It would be, say, at index 50. So you can see these are two different images at two different indexes. Easy enough. Another way we could access the images would be plt.imageShow, and we could just pass this as a parameter, and we could say plt.show. So this is a more, you could say, organized way of printing an image. Well, this is something that would not look as good. Alright, next what we have are transforms. These are common image transformations. It can also alter aspects such as color, size, shape, brightness, and so on of your images. You can also think of it as your image editing toolkit in PyTorch. But it's more than just that. One important feature of transform is to convert from PIL, which is Python Image Library, to tensors and vice versa. Why do we need this conversion? Well, basically, some transformations accept only PIL while others are tensors only. Now you must be wondering how the conversion from pixels to tensor would take place, right? So what happens is, on conversion, a tensor image will contain a 3D shape of C, which is number of channels, H, which is height of the image, and W, width of the image. Now if we convert the tensors to float data type, which can be achieved using toTensor method, the range of the tensor image values will be in the range of 0 and 1. But if we were to convert the image to an integer tensor image using PIL2 tensor, the range of values will come out to be 0 to the maximum value to exist in the data type. So let us go ahead and see the implementation of transforms in the Jupyter Notebook using the PyTorch library. So the next thing we're going to see is how transforms work in PyTorch. So we'll go ahead and import the necessary libraries. The first one would be, okay, so if you guys haven't worked with Torch Vision before, first thing you have to do is install Torch Vision using pip install Torch Vision. Otherwise, you guys would probably face an error. So this is going to take a while. So as you can see, requirement already satisfied means I had already imported this particular library. So let's get started. So we'll import Torch Vision dot transforms as transforms. So this is how you import the transforms in PyTorch. The next one would be importing functional 7 9 from will import to tensor, and similarly will import PIL2 tensor. Let's run it. So since we'll be working with an inbuilt dataset, we have to import it using from Torch Vision import dataset. Now this dataset is different from what we imported using torch.utils.data. This dataset is what we discussed earlier. This dataset is something that PyTorch provides as an inbuilt dataset, right? So we'll go ahead and read it using, we'll create a variable training data to store our training dataset, and we'll just say datasets dot partial list. Now this dataset is available on Kaggle also, and we'll say root equal to data, train equal to true, download equal to true, and transform equal to tensor, right? So when we say download equal to true, if the dataset is not already downloaded on my system, it will download it, otherwise it will do nothing. And what we're doing here is we're telling it to transform our images to tensor using float data type, right? To tensor converts to float data type. Let's see. Okay, so there is a typing error. It's MMIST. Let's try and print our training data. So these are the properties, but we want to see our data, right? So as you can see, it's converted to float 0.6314. Let's say I want to see, okay, this one, right? So all we have to do is use indexing, and this is just one image, right? This is how it's converted. Let's create our test data variable using, in the similar manner, using datasets.partial MNIST, and we'll pass the variables root equal to data. Sorry, it's not our training data, so we'll just say train equal to false and download equal to true. Now say we do not pass transform in this case. So let's see how it's going to give the output, right? So test data, these are the properties, and let's access the first one. So it's an image. So as you can see, it is type PIL image, and these are the pixels 28 by 28, and model is L, right? So let's try and print this image. As you can see, this is a very small image over here that we've got. Now say I want to increase the size of this image. This is where our functional library comes into play, right? So we'll go ahead and create another variable crop, and using the functional library that we imported earlier, we'll be using that. So we'll use the inbuilt method called center_crop, and we just have to pass the image. Let's give this variable name as image, and we'll give the output size as, let's say, 300. Let's print it. So this is what our image will look like once the size has been increased. As you can see, earlier the size was this, and now the size has increased significantly, right? So we saw how our tensors would look like if we converted them to float tensor image, right? Now what about integer tensor image? So let's try and give the transform as PIL to tensor, and let's try and print it. So as you can see, this is how our tensor looks like when it's converted to integer format using PIL to tensor. You can see values ranging from 0 to say 180, 170, even 255, right? So there's a huge variation in our values as they depend on the maximum value of the data type. So that is all for today's video. I hope you guys were able to understand how PyTorch can be used to load and transform your dataset containing images. Do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you and see you in the next video.